Today we're going to be reviewing an episode that surprisingly has very little to do with Jean-Claude Van Damme, even though the namesake is made popular by one of his more famous movies, Bloodsport. But despite all that, the episode... Actually, that's easier than I thought it'd be. Hello friends, welcome back to the show. So glad to see all of you once again. And if you're new here, thank you for stopping by. I think you're going to like what you see because this is the show where we go back and look at cartoons that we grew up on in the 80s and 90s. And right now we're working our way through a series talking about Batman Beyond, episode by episode. And so if this sounds like something you might enjoy, hop below, hit the subscribe button, click the like button, because today we're talking about the episode Bloodsport, which originally aired on October 23rd, 1999.
I guess that's my cue.
Well, apparently Bruce has made some enemies over his time because now Terry is being hunted because he's Batman by this new threat, this new villain, the Stalker. It's hunting him. Does that really make this episode hold up? Find out at the end when I rank this episode in my list of favorite episodes. But before we get into all that, let me give you a 60-second rundown of the episode, give you a complete synopsis of the episode in 60 seconds before the Beyond bomb blows up. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. We see a mysterious man checking into a penthouse hotel. Meanwhile, Terry is breaking up some chop shoppers, and Bruce says, oh, you got to get your milks for your mom. And then we see Terry running late to meet up with his mom. And she goes, oh, you got to balance your job and your life and all that. And then this stalker guy is now hunting Batman and goes after him. And then Bruce, Terry is at this cheesy dance place with his little brother, and he has to fight the stalker. And he gets called away. Max watches Matt, his little brother. There's no way I'm going to finish this. And then he is going to, he's been sprayed by this stuff, so the stalker knows where he's at. And then the stalker goes to Cheesy Dan's and kidnaps Matt and holds him hostage. He goes, oh, I'm going to get you. And Batman has this final duel with him. And then he swoops in and he goes back and he goes, oh, I got to balance everything with life. And then Maxine is there helping him. Oh my gosh.
What's your hurry, Drag?
There's not a lot to this episode. There's a guy named the Stalker that is hunting Batman because he wants to be the greatest hunter and is now super strong because of an accident that he had.
Is that all the fight you have in you?
And I don't know if that really fully makes a full episode for a plot. Although we have the Royal Flush Gang that we saw in this episode coming back to Gotham to get revenge on Batman. We saw that element, but here's a guy that doesn't have a history with Batman, but just wants to hunt him because he's a hunter that wants to get the next best thing.
Ready to call it quits?
So we do have a little bit of a mystery. We don't know who this guy is, and he checks into this hotel, and we don't know what's going on. We don't know what his motives are, what he's trying to do. But this episode feels like it takes a really long time to get to those plot points.
Keep it down, I'm sleeping here.
There's a difference between a mystery and offering some intrigue, and then us just sitting here going, what the heck's going on? What are we watching?
This is not good.
Then we finally establish that this stalker wants to hunt and kill Batman. Okay, why? I mean, that's a neat element. That's a neat idea that Batman is now being hunted. But why?
This was a tragedy.
I remember there was an episode of The Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno where they had David Banner trapped on this island, and these hunters were chasing after him because they hunted humans. And that episode, for some reason, when I was a little kid, that stuck out to me because I thought, what an interesting idea that the greatest hunt, the greatest game is hunting another human. And this kind of dabbles in that, but I didn't know that that's where they were going with this until literally like 4 minutes left in the episode, when they quickly explain this through a flashback where he explains why he's hunting Batman to this little kid.
If this bat spirit really existed, It would present the ultimate challenge.
Again, just sort of a clunky device to try to explain what's going on and why things are happening. And this monologuing of telling your plan to, not Batman, but to his little brother.
What are you gonna do, mister? Cut my heart out? Eat my liver?
Don't be dramatic.
You know, we do get to see the Joker gang again in this episode, and what a difference between the Joker gang that we see in the beginning of this episode and the one that we saw in the last episode, Hidden Agendas, is that sometimes they're a pretty good threat. And Hidden Agendas, they were thinking through, they were forming this plan, they were attacking and doing what they needed to do. And then in this episode, they're more or less a joke. They are the Jokers, so I guess joke's part of their name.
That's not funny, man.
Again, having this kind of larger gang that there's different elements of, different subgroups of, and some of them are like the group in this one, and some are more thoughtful and more of a threat, like in the last episode.
Your money or a pie?
Some other time.
And I think in a lighthearted moment, I do get the sense that sometimes Bruce is having a little bit of fun with Terry being the one on the front lines and actually taking the bumps and bruises that come with being Batman, because certainly Bruce Wayne had paid his dues, and I love that he's got to kick him back in the Batcave and going,
Your mother called. She wants you to pick up some milk on the way home.
by the way, is it milk or milk? Milk? Milk. Let me know in the comment section.
That's gonna have to wait.
Now again, a little off character for Bruce is when he faces up against this guy, Bruce's suggestion is,
Try and lose him. I'll see what I can come up with.
now granted, Terry's not in his Batman suit, so he can't do too much, but how about go change and face this guy rather than just run? That doesn't seem like something Bruce Wayne would do, nor does it feel like something he would advise Terry to do. You know, and Bruce certainly wants to learn his enemy a little bit more before putting Terry in harm's way. But it feels like he could tell Terry to face him and fight and hold his ground, but be careful while Bruce is looking up stuff. You know, he's got the whole Bat computer at his disposal. Why not, dig into it a little bit?
You wanna fight, Dreg? Let's go.
Cool!
Also, just a little side note here. Terry, who's a teenager, is at this arcade, and he's acting as if he's bored by this. Now, of course, he's seeing some real action out on the streets, and so the violence and the action that he gets from video games is probably beneath him. But still, when I was his age, I still loved going to arcades. Now, granted, when I was his age, there was still arcades. Now there's not so much of that anymore.
Again?
If I had to watch my little brother and he's like, let's go to the arcade, I'd be like, yeah, all right, you play your game, I'll be over here, let me know if you need something. Like Cheesy Dan's, is that what it's called, Cheesy Dan's? It looks like a pretty cool place. I think it's supposed to be like Chuck E. Cheese's, but...
The games here kick. See, I told you.
And again, this flashback that we have in there just felt like a little bit of a lazy writing technique. We needed to give some backstory because, like I said, I was wondering why he was fighting Batman or trying to hunt him down, or this whole big hoopla around him trying to take down Batman. But then it's not until the very end that we just have to insert this information. And I don't know if this is one of those situations where the networks or producers were watching the episode back going, gosh, we really need some more explanation behind this. And then they inserted it later or something like that. But it just felt obvious and painful, kind of downshift in the momentum of the episode to go, oh, let me tell you this story about why I am such a great hunter and what I'm trying to do now and why I want to take down Batman, little boy.
My life was over until I heard that the legendary Batman had returned.
And I mean, no offense to Terry, but he has only been in this crime-fighting gig for a year or two, if that. I mean, in the season-wise, it's been a year or two, but probably in chronological levels of the episode, well, a few months. I don't know. He's still in high school. He's still a kid. So he hasn't been doing this crime-fighting, battling thing for very long. And certainly his bat suit attributes to that But if this guy's really such a great hunter and is, bionically supercharged with extra strength and abilities, would Terry really be that much of a match for him?
Impressive. You've drawn first blood.
Also, when I saw the title of this episode, I immediately was thinking of the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie Bloodsport, which my older brother showed to me probably when I was too young to be seeing it. But he had a little black and white TV in a room that we shared, and I remember watching it one night. I'm sure I fell asleep halfway through, but we've watched it several times since then. It's a fun movie. I mean, it's a very 90s, gosh, was it the early 90s, maybe even 80s, but quintessential 80s, 90s action fighting movie. But I was really into those, karate and Ninja Turtles and the street fighting games and all that was just a big interest of mine. So seeing that, but yeah, remembering that movie, which I haven't thought about in years, was a little nostalgic. But yeah, this episode has virtually nothing to do with that movie.
Very good. But brick, not hit back.
So when it comes time to rank this episode, I don't know. There wasn't a lot there that was that held my attention. There's a nice element of mystery that was set up, but it just sort of turned into confusion and why is this happening, and just waiting for something to happen or waiting for a better explanation. And when we finally get to the flashback, the episode's almost over, and I don't really care. Like, it's just, okay, so a guy wants to hunt Batman because he's supposed to be so great. And it's not even the Batman that he heard the legends about. It's the new Batman. I don't know. So for those reasons, it falls at the number 14 spot of my favorite episodes so far. It's just below Ascension because that at least was a culmination of plot points that we were leading up to throughout the first season. Whereas this episode just felt very much like a one-off. Here's a guy, let's fight, and let's go. I don't know if he comes back, but, unless they're setting him up for something better in the future, there just wasn't much to get excited about in this episode. But I do have this beating out Splicers, which I know a lot of you have disagreed with how far I put that on the list. But again, it felt very much like, here's a one-off idea of Terry stopping these genetically altered people. Whereas this one at least had kind of that one-on-one adversary hero kind of element.
Batman's so cool. Not a loser like you.
So how many of you have seen the movie Bloodsport? Do you have nostalgic memories of that movie like me? I haven't seen it in so long. I'm sure it doesn't hold up to the quality of movies now, but certainly a fun movie for the 80s and 90s, whenever that came out. But if you too remember that movie, let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this episode, whether you agree or don't agree with me, please click the like button. That always helps me out. If you want to see more episodes like this, just hit subscribe. I have new episodes coming out every week, like the next episode, Once Burned. But if you can't wait till then, there's some other episodes over here of watching me review some of the other Batman episodes, so be sure to check those out. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Knode. I'll see you soon.